Good afternoon. What an awesome day this has been. A stark contrast to yesterday. Doing some big moves here out in the garden. I've just been working with a local farmer who's been helping me get some irrigation finally set up for the garden, because yeah, around here we're wanting to expand and start planting more things. Now is the time to do it. But the biggest problem we've been having is, of course, there's not been any rain, and doesn't seem to be any rain in sight. We needed to get some irrigation up and running, otherwise having to hand water everything, that's just not feasible. So basically we've got a pump here running that's getting water from down here in the creek. The pipe, poly pipe that goes down to the creek, and yeah, sucks some water up, goes through this hose here all the way around, and that basically is attached to some irrigation pipes running 2 sprinklers, and that's basically going to do a good job of watering our garden. If we want to shift this, basically you can come and just disconnect it here, shift this pipe over to attack a different area. But apart from that, irrigation is basically set up now. It's pretty much getting what we've planted over here slowly but surely. It's nice and damp here. And also, yeah, the potatoes, I mean, there's plenty of water getting splattered underneath here, so the potatoes are getting nice and damp. And yeah, this one over here is getting most of our stuff over here also. So there's not going to be that much left to hand water. Real big upgrades, because believe me, it's been taking so much time to just water all these things manually by hand. Basically just using these watering cans, just lugging up water up and down. It takes so much time. This is going to be a real time saver. I'm going to move this chair under here because yeah, over there you get too much sun. But man, yeah, excuse the sound of the pump going. Well, I wanted to discuss yesterday and basically how things have been going since the end of the dopamine fast. I'm going to wait a while until I do my analysis, breakdown and reflection on dopamine focused warrior. I want some more time to sink in and to see how I'm going post dopamine fasting, because for me it's not just been about the time that I'm on dopamine fasting. It's about, will this help me to make long-term sustained change in the long term? So it's been like 4 or 5 days, I think, since the protocol ended, and yeah, for the first 2-3 days afterwards I basically just continued what I was doing during the fast. I'd gotten into a whole new routine, so I was basically just continuing life how I had been during the dopamine fast. I wasn't overdoing anything, I wasn't going towards any addictive behaviors or anything like that. But then came yesterday. I've been having some personal struggles the past few days, been triggered by some situations that I found myself in, which triggered a lot of old memories, old programming, and yeah, I basically started to feel the urge to go towards addictive behaviors, the junk food, consuming too much content online, especially via the means of YouTube, and just mindlessly browsing the internet. I stayed away from all that for the first few days, but then yesterday I just was triggered in this. I've been triggered in the past few days. I managed to resist the call to go towards addictive behaviors. I was running a bit rough yesterday, and yeah, I slipped a bit on the junk food. First of all, had a few chocolates, and it wasn't anything major really. I didn't overindulge as such, but still I indulged in some chocolates, which I like. I enjoyed it. It actually tasted really nice after not having any sweets like that over the course of the dopamine fast. But still, when that happened, it was a bit of a warning sign for potentially what could be to come. I was triggered to first of all eat some junk food, and that basically put me in this state where I just felt a little bit tired after that. Of course, I just started to feel the urge to go towards PMO. Now, I mean, I'm doing really well with no fat, no porn. I'm still going strong with that, haven't relapsed or anything. But anyway, I started to feel the urge to go towards PMO. That's when I was meant to be doing some coursework online, I went on YouTube and I started to just aimlessly browse. Now, I wasn't doing it to the extent that I was before, but still I spent a good 2-3 hours yesterday afternoon. Bloody flies. I spent a good 2-3 hours yesterday afternoon where I was just on YouTube searching up some channels I'm subscribed to. Because yeah, over the course of the dopamine fast, I didn't consume much YouTube at all. I had a few people I was following, you know, for accountability and all of that, and just like maybe like 5-6 channels. But yeah, I was subscribed to a lot more people than that. So I found myself checking out you know, other channels that I'd missed over the last month, checking out what they'd posted. And yeah, you know, I've disabled a lot of the YouTube features, so I no longer have my home feed enabled and notifications are turned off. I only go on like once a day sometimes, so just to check if I've gotten any comments on my own channel, things like that. But yeah, I was just aimlessly checking my subscriptions and checking what people posted. I found myself going down a bit of an internet rabbit hole where one thing led to the next. That made me realize that the mechanism for addiction, of what drives me to go towards addictive behaviors, is very much still present. There was nothing new about the situation that I found myself in. It's the situation I've been in before, which basically triggered some old feelings that came up, and so all old uncomfortable feelings that came up, and that's basically what triggered me to go towards those addictive behaviors. Now, I was actually quite aware of what was going on. Like, I ate the junk food and I was right. I just found myself laughing after that. I was like, okay, well, this tasted nice, but yeah, well, I'm not gonna let this escalate. But yeah, those uncomfortable feelings kept on coming, and yeah, I felt an urge to go towards PMO, and that's when I decided, no, I can't do this. This is not who I am anymore. And yeah, I found myself in a loop online where I just was in a really bad space, and I just found myself consuming content, just trying to numb the pain, really. A lot of it, just trying to basically numb my feelings. Basically what happens is I have these situations that happen, right? You know, ultimately, we can't control the actions of other people. We can only control our own reaction. Right, that's an important thing to remember. Basically, what happened with me is like an external circumstance comes in, a situation manifests, presents itself, and that then triggers me to want to go towards addictive behaviors. And when that trigger is there, when I have the urge, it's 100% up to me how I choose to respond. I can choose to entertain that addiction, to go towards it, even though I can't necessarily control the urge coming in. The urge will come in no matter what in that situation, but I can control my response to that urge. That's a very important thing. It's that space between stimulus and response. So I was present of that space yesterday, but I still chose to eat that junk food. Then I chose to mindlessly browse around YouTube and the internet. And yeah, if the cycle were to continue, I would have then chosen to engage in PMO. But before that happened, I really caught myself and I was like, dude, you've done so well over this past month. You've been on this dopamine fast. It's taught you a lot. These situations that presented themselves, these situations that came up, it's okay. It's out of your control. You can't control the actions of other people, but you can control your response. And another important thing that I realized was that ultimately I'm powerless over my addiction. Now you might think that's contradictory. I mean, how do you overcome addiction if you're powerless over addiction? Well, that mechanism that kicked in, I had urges, right, to go towards those addictions. And in that moment, I really was powerless. I was overwhelmed with these urges. But even though I was powerless over my addiction, I was not powerless when it came to my reaction to the urges to go towards addiction. Like, I'm involved in some 12-step work, right? And there's a saying, I am powerless over my addiction, but I am responsible for my recovery. And that's very true, right? Addictions can come and go. The mechanism for addiction will always be present. There's always going to be the potential, a situation will come up, it'll trigger you to go towards an addictive behavior. But then it's up to you whether or not you choose to be responsible for your recovery. It also gets back to being a warrior versus being a victim. You can choose to be a victim in that moment and say, oh, poor me, you know, I just needed some instant pleasures to help me feel good because I don't want to feel these bad negative emotions. I don't want to feel these negative emotions. Or you can choose to be a warrior and just decide, I accept these feelings for what they are. I choose to face them head on. I will fight. I will not give up. I will put my recovery first. I will not entertain these addictions. And these thoughts, these addictions, that's not who I am anymore. So it was a big lesson for me of not to get complacent, and especially it was really a lesson of recovery, right? We need to remember that the goal is not perfection. The goal is never perfection, right? We're human, we're imperfect. Perfection is an impossible goal to achieve. And let me repeat what I said a few videos ago. The true mark of recovery is not being perfect and getting it right the first time. Rather, it is the ability to get back up and bounce back from repeated failure. I had a slip yesterday. Some might call it a failure, but I see it as a golden learning opportunity. Today's been an excellent day, a great day, one in which I have not felt triggered whatsoever. I didn't beat myself up for having that slip, even though I felt quite annoyed and disappointed with myself afterwards, but it was a reminder that I'm human, a reminder to not get complacent, and a reminder that this recovery process from addictions is ongoing. I don't think there'll ever come a point where I'm 100% fully healed, right? Those triggers may always come. They may always be a voice that wants me to go towards those addictive behaviors. But the longer I stay on this path of recovery, the longer I stay on this path of self-improvement, of self-empowerment, of self-discovery, the quieter, perhaps, those voices will grow. And the easier it will be to stay disciplined and remain on this path. That's my message for today. Stay strong, be a warrior, not a victim. Memento mori.